Brodes Media.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Before we dive into the action, on Twitter, at Brodes Media, we are giving away a Bryce Harper jersey. It's so simple. Pinned to the top of the profile. You have to retweet the tweet and also follow at Brodes Media. On August 18th, a winner will be announced, so make sure you get involved to win. Also, if you're new to the channel, we are on the road to 20,000 subscribers, so make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate it, and I love all of you so much for all the crazy support. With that all said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. The Phillies lose 6-1 against the Cincinnati Reds, and let's be realistic. They were flat, and they had no life to them whatsoever. I'm disappointed because of this mini deflation that occurred after the 8-game winning streak, but we can't lie to ourselves. It was to be expected, right? It was magic. It was unreal. It was awesome. Red October vibes, and there was so much juice surrounding this team. It came out of nowhere. How? It was bizarre. Well, eventually, if we're objectively looking at the scenario, there would be a dip to the norm. Now, that does not mean that they have no chance at the National League East. They do. The Braves, the Mets, and the Philadelphia Phillies, until September, will be involved, will be discussed, and will be in striking range. They have to keep their head above water going up against two very good teams in this league after their 8-game win streak. The Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds are no joke, and there's clearly a separation between those two, but ultimately both of them are good teams. This makes sense. When you make mistakes, they will pay. And that's what we saw in the 4th inning today, where Zack Wheeler, after 3 strong ones, I saw the curveball. And there was a moment where I thought, oh, here we go again. And you probably thought the same exact thing. Some really good bite on that curveball, getting Joey Votto swinging with his at-bat, his first at-bat, and ends up striking out Joey Votto, but had him fooled on a couple pitches. Well, Joey Votto had the last laugh, that's for damn sure. And someone who's been continuing to watch around the league late night and just throughout baseball in general, watching Joey Votto this year has been insane. Not as fun when it's against the Phillies, and not as fun when it's against your number one dude who has a legitimate chance to win the National League Cy Young. He's raking. He's blasting the baseball right now. I thought Zach had it again until the 4th, where Brad Miller over at first base gives you a bit of a hesitation. Now it's a bang-bang play at first base. And I know they always say tie goes to the runner, and you figure when you go to replay, you'll be able to dial it in and really get the focus and emphasize who got there a hair earlier. That was probably the closest play I've ever seen on replay to a bang-bang. There's no way in hell you could overturn anything like that, and the play was called on the field safe. So, and basically, I think it was safe, but that can't happen from Brad Miller. That's a problem. And I don't know if internally that started to get Zack Wheeler uncomfortable and in a position where he didn't feel as smooth. He ends up hitting Castellanos with a pitch. Now you got 2 men on, and you make a mistake pitch to Joey Votto, and he's going to say goodbye. Thanks for the 3 runs. Now later on, Castellanos gets the last laugh. He puts one out of here. It's 4-0. And the Phils had no sense of life whatsoever offensively until what? A leadoff double that ends up being what? Nothing. A leadoff double. Stay on second base until what? The 9th inning when Didi Gregorius ropes one down the right field side, the right field line, and they score 1 run? What are we doing here? It stings, for sure. You had all that buzz in Citizens Bank Park over the weekend with the New York Mets, with the Mets fans, with the Phillies, and even some nice life when you think about the Dodgers games. LA Dodgers, I get it. It makes sense. They're more of a high-profile team and a high-profile fan base than, let's say, the Cincinnati Reds. But when you go from all that energy and you look around the stands and it looks like it did 2 months ago when you were playing sub-500 baseball, but that's not the fans' fault or anything. What I'm telling you there is you're going to have to dig deeper. If it was the crowd, and I stressed that a lot during that fun moment, right? I said, wow, it's almost as if the fan base and the team is one. If you look through the roster online, MLB.com/Phillies or whatever hell the website is, and you look at the roster, it says the city of Philadelphia as a part of the roster. They were one. They were part of the clubhouse. Well, you got to dig deeper than that. You, as the athlete, you got to create that spark. You got to create those plays. Instead, you're shooting yourselves in the foot. And there's a difference when there's power on the other side. There's a difference when there's talent looking straight at you who can win some baseball games compared to Washington Nationals, compared to the New York Mets, whose offense blows. You got to get the first out, Brad Miller. Would that have changed the entire inning? I don't know. Would Castellanos still get hit? It's quite possible. But you set yourself up for some trouble. You put yourself at a disadvantage. And we've seen, if you remember, Zack Wheeler. This just popped into my head. Think about that game against Chicago where Didi Gregorius made sloppy plays out in the field early. What do you know? The Chicago Cubs, who were on that ridiculous losing streak where they could not win a baseball game at all, sloppy. They make you pay. Even a bad team making you pay. And Zack Wheeler struggled in that game. Something about that first mistake or that mental issue. And, sometimes you look at your top dogs, and I'm not knocking Zack Wheeler for saying this. I'm just referencing the two examples, which is a small amount compared to how many starts he's had this season where he's been insanely successful. Is there an element to Zack Wheeler, though? Like, when you think about that guy, that number one dude, well, what do you do with that? You take the ball, and you say, I got my teammates back. And I'm not saying Zack Wheeler can't do that. I believe Zack Wheeler can do that majority of the time. There have been moments, though, where it did get to him, which makes sense. He's going to have those bad games. He's going to have those hiccups. It's allowed. If you give me this Zack Wheeler to this point and then once in a blue moon, this gets flirted in there, I'm okay with that. It's called being a human, and you're a fantastic elite pitcher still. All I'm doing is bringing it up, though. And we'll see what a bounce-back game is like for Zack Wheeler the next time around the rotation. The scary part is tomorrow you have Matt Moore versus Castillo. As much as here I am going to destroy it for 45 minutes in my brain, what ends up happening is they win that game somehow, which makes no sense. We'll see. Matt Moore blows, and Matt Moore is horrendous, so obviously I don't believe they're going to win. But you get my point. I'll just crucify the fact that we need to go into a game with that matchup, and that's the game they end up winning, while Zack Wheeler's the game that they end up losing. Zack did have some things to say after the game, though. They just didn't feel right that day. Sometimes we wake up and you have a good day, you have a bad day, you roll out of the bed the wrong way, you're extra grumpy in the morning, and it impacts the rest of your identity for the day, I guess, if you will. You're rattled for some reason. Maybe you got some good news one day, and then your life is just amazing. When you first wake up, you have the biggest smile on your face. You're pushing all the right buttons on the coffee machine, and there's a good element. Well, sometimes it's the other way where you just feel off. And these pitchers are a creature of habit. He basically used the word whack, and Michael Barkan was confused and baffled by him referencing he was out of whack today, and it didn't feel right. But we all have those days, and I do anticipate seeing Zack Wheeler take strides in the right direction the next time because, well, he bottles up the emotions and he pours it out there on the field, and I would think that this would almost fire him up for whoever's next. So if I'm whoever it ends up being, if you think about the schedule, I would not be happy to see a pissed-off Zack Wheeler on the mound. That fourth inning, though, there was some more stuff that happened after the Votto home run. There was a walk right after. Moustakas ends up making a mental mistake at second base where one was roped out to Bryce Harper. He catches the ball, and Moustakas was on his way to third. Maybe he thought it was in the gap and believed it was a no-brainer, so he just took off anyway. Maybe the damage could have been more. It wasn't, though. It wasn't. Looking at Malley's day on the bump, he went 7 innings, allowed 3 hits, had 7 strikeouts, and there was a lot of frustration at the dish for the Phils. Bryce Harper at the end ends up getting kicked out. The pitch was on the outside part of the plate, close to the strike zone. I could see why it was a strike. He clearly, let the emotions get the most of them, which we've seen at times, not to like an insane level, barking at the umpire when you're losing and you're getting murdered, and there's really no sense of urgency, I guess, with the team on that given night. And I feel I use that phrase so much for this team, which makes a lot of sense, though, considering where they are and what they have been 99% of this season. To say they lack that is fair. Maybe there was a tactic to it with Bryce. You're in the clubhouse, you're JT Realmuto, you're Didi Gregorius, you're Gene Segura, and you see Bryce Harper get kicked out just from being fired up, and it's because he's not happy. It's because he's gutted, and he wants his team to know that, like, yo, come on, let's go. Maybe there's a side of it to that. Maybe that's the view of Bryce Harper. I'm the emotional guy. I'm the leader guy. And he's been tearing the cover off the ball for a long period of time. And he hasn't been as of late. So he's looking for something to get himself going and get his teammates going. I'm just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, to be honest with you. I'm just looking at an angle. Bryce Harper's a leader. When you think about being a leader, you got to create what I talked about. If the fans aren't going to be there, who's going to do it? Because someone has to. Well, you just notice when you're in the clubhouse, when you're in the dugout, that Bryce did that. All right. He's pissed off. He's not happy. Let's go. Let's go. Is there an element to it? I don't know. Possibly reaching, just searching for answers. That's what you need to do. You got to dig deep and search for answers. That's what I'm doing, analyzing this team, assessing this team. I'm looking for answers too. Right now, if we look at the out-of-town scoreboard, how about that for a reference? The Dodgers are beating the Mets in the top of the 10th inning 6-4. Okay, that's big for the Phils. And the Braves are down 2-0 to the Washington Nationals, but it's only the middle of the 4th inning, and I'm recording this at 11:15. So, obviously, something happened there, whether it was a rain delay, which would make the most sense if I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. I got a tweet here, though, from Dan. Dan says, how in the world is Herrera in the leadoff spot? Out of the entire position player group on the team, he would be my last choice. Unbelievable that Girardi isn't being criticized for this. I just don't know what your options are, right? Gene Segura is a name that people like to utilize at the top of the lineup, but I love his numbers personally more in the 2-hole than I do leading off. His numbers are not bad leading off. It's just better when you think about maybe the combination of Gene Segura with Bryce Harper, who's been flat out ridiculous for over a month now. There's something to that. And when Reese was healthy, there was the power that you had with these players on top of JT Realmuto providing a spark too and being an added layer. Didi with the power that came back was an added layer for a little bit of time there. Minuscule amount of time, but a little bit of time there. My thing isn't necessarily Odubel stinks, Odubel's horrible. It's the alternative once again. So if you go Gene Segura leading off, who's hitting 2? Who are you sliding in there? You see my point? There's always going to be an issue here. Trying Odubel Herrera, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I'm not telling you I love it. He's hitting 241 with a 273 OBP. So I'm not claiming that this is magnificent. I'm telling you, I don't know what you would rather do that's so noticeable because there's so many answers available for you. There's not many answers. That's the thing. There's not many answers. So I don't love it, but it's by default. And that's why we talk about the team the way that we talk about the team. I basically tweeted out before I jumped on to record the show, such a deflating little Phillies run, but I definitely expected the team to dip back to reality after the excitement. It's okay, though. They'll be in this race until the very end. And I just want to get some thoughts on that and some responses before we head on over to the Anytime Hotline. Brodes, could not agree with you more. This is from Jimmy Schwartz. I don't know if that's actually his name or if this is a Jim Schwartz troll account. I think the Phillies are good enough to win 2 out of 3 at home against the Reds, but if they don't, it's okay. Their schedule sets up for them to be in a serious race for the rest of the year. That's very true, and I claimed this the other day. It's so weird and awkward to make this statement, but it is reality. I'd be okay with 2 and 4 in these 6 games against the Dodgers and the Reds. I would be. Keep your head above water. Do not get swept. Keep your head afloat. That is the name of the game right now. Andrew, the Philly fan, says, it sucks, man, because for the first time in a decade, we thought we had something, and now it just seems to be completely gone. Yeah, but maybe that's false expectations, though, if you were to that level of intensity. Oh, we have something here. It's an 8-game win streak in 162. The Washington Nationals, who ended up blowing it up, had an amazing ride. Why? Because of a really super hot player named Kyle Schwarber. Well, Bryce Harper, super insanely hot. The team went on a magical journey, and then it comes to a reality check. But that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're over. It doesn't mean that there's no way to compete in this division. And by the way, when I said that's okay or it's okay, it reminded me of that commercial about, what is it, the divorce attorney? But that's okay because we're registered in your, damn, that's not it at all. I totally butchered that. But that's okay. We are registered in your state. Nah, that's not it either. I feel like an idiot. What the hell is wrong with me? I'm sure a lot of people don't even know what I'm referencing. But that's okay because we're licensed in your state. That's it. I think that's it. I think I got it. I don't even know if anyone even knows what I'm talking about. But anyway, a couple more here. Good take, Brodes. That's just from Phillies fan. Okay, thank you. And Fanatic Philly fan says that's the way to think, Brodes. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically where I'm at. And like I said, we have some anytime hotline calls to react to. I just wanted to point out some of the thoughts that were shared on the Twitter sphere over to DraftKings. Everyone's favorite time of the year is right around the corner, the college football season. And to celebrate, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new players in the center of the action with $200 in free bets instantly if you bet $1 or more on any college football game. Take advantage of this limited-time offer right now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code BRODES to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any college football game. That's promo code BRODES to get your free $200 in free bets instantly for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay. Let's hear from the people. Here we go.
If there's one thing that's become abundantly clear to me in the last handful of games, and tonight especially, is that this team needs Rhys Hoskins a lot more than we thought they did. Because he's been gone for the last 7 games, and those last 7 games, this team hasn't had more than 5 runs a single time. Now, I know he's a frustratingly inconsistent player most of the time, but he's left a huge hole in this lineup that no one other than Brad Miller for one good game has managed to fill. So this team needs to start hitting, and I think Rhys Hoskins getting healthy is going to be a big part of that.
I don't disagree with that. You're right. There is an element of Rhys Hoskins being out of the lineup that is impacting the way that the flow is and the protection, right? It adds such a big piece and a big valuable person that stands there and smacks the ball around and gives you doubles in the gap and big-time home runs. So for sure, I also think, though, that the other players are just coming down from that high rise and you're playing better talent as well. To say, well, this team can't score over 5 runs or they can't score at all just because Rhys Hoskins is out is too simple. Now, what's going to end up happening is Rhys Hoskins is going to come back, and that game he's going to go on an unbelievable ride, and the team's going to score 9 runs, and it's going to feel like that one game was because of all that. But there's a lot of this, right? Like Bryce Harper has cooled off a tad, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of these players are cooling off a tad, which makes a lot of sense. On top of Rhys Hoskins not being there. I like Rhys Hoskins, and I think he's been a fantastic piece, and I applaud him for the mental journey that he had to get through after some really disappointing stretches throughout his young career. He's good, and he's got some power, and he's got some pop. But it's not Rhys Hoskins that makes Bryce Harper. It's not Rhys Hoskins that makes JT Realmuto. It helps. But these players are also just not performing as well. So both of it is true. Would love to see this team with Rhys Hoskins again, though. It puts the order back in place. It definitely helps that for sure.
Well, the Phillies are back to their old ways. Can't hit the ball, can't field the ball. And just what the Phillies do, inconsistency. I mean, you got to be able to hit the ball off this Reds pitcher who I've never heard of, but I guess he's having a decent season. But still, I mean, it's a pathetic performance. Zack Wheeler didn't have his best stuff, but I mean, when you don't get a run, when you can barely hit the ball, it sucks, and you're gonna lose. And the Phillies are back. No energy in this team anymore. That only lasted about a couple days, and guess we'll see what happens the rest of the series.
I warned everybody, though. You got to handle the emotion because it's going to die off, and you're going to see real teams now. You're seeing the Dodgers. You're seeing teams that are competing at a high level. So there will be a bit of like a smack in the face. But handle that because you also have the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Baltimore Orioles, the Washington Nationals, the Miami Marlins. This is the area of the schedule. If you go through and analyze what games are left and what talent they have to see, this makes sense. This makes sense. There was going to be a big spit in the face. Wipe it off, get it off of you, and move forward. How would the fan base react? That was almost my number 2 question on my list of things to watch, which is bizarre because I want to watch the team. I want to start nitpicking and really analyzing what's going on there, which I'm doing anyway. But after the 8 games happen, and we're looking at the 9th, the 10th, knowing that eventually they would lose a baseball game, up on the top of my list of questions was, what is the energy going to be around the city? This shouldn't be surprising. This should not be a, whoa, hold on here. This should more be, we're on the train. Everyone talks about the Tunis train on 97.5, The Fanatic, right? Andrew Salchunas, Anthony Gargano, the midday show. Tunis started the Tunis train. All the Phillies fans were riding high on it. There's no getting off. You're still on it. It's just a bumpy road. You'll never look up and see the Braves 8 games up. The Phillies won't be 8 games back. It's going to be congested. And it's who powers through towards the end of it. The Braves are going to go through an ugly time, a loss that they shouldn't have lost. Same with the Mets. Same with the Phillies. The Braves are going to win when the Phillies win. The Mets are going to win when the Braves and Phillies win. Then they're all going to lose on the same day. Then the Braves might take the division by a half a game. Then the Phillies take it back. The Mets creep up. Then the Mets lose 4 in a row. The Braves lose 3 in a row. The Phillies lose 2 in a row. Then they all win on the same night. They're all going to be bouncing around, and that's just reality. So embrace it, know it, and calm down, breathe, and we'll see where it takes us. That's all.
Well, the Phillies lose to the Reds 6-1. It was a disappointing game. Zack Wheeler, he struggled. I mean, that's okay. He's a great pitcher. He's allowed to struggle every once in a while. He gave up 4 runs in 6 innings, so it wasn't his best start, but he'll bounce back for next start. And the Phillies offense was quiet. You had Tyler Mahle. He looked terrific. He had 7 innings under his belt, 0 runs. His fastball was pretty good, and his slider was really good as well. But the Phillies need to win tomorrow, even though they get Matt Moore, which will not be a good game. But they need to at least manage at least more than one run.
They definitely do. They got to pick up the bats, and you're right. I mean, it's not as if Cincinnati was just throwing out garbage on the mound, and it's one of those nights where afterwards we look and go, Who has a 9 ERA but struck out 12? Right? We've said that a handful of times this season, which just blows my mind. There was respect on the other end and having a good season, making us pay, and it was a bit of a tough one. At the same time, though, there were hittable pitches. There were better approaches, that could have been had, and there could have been more structure involved at the plate. It goes back to where Alec Boehm is right now. Alec Boehm is overthinking every little piece to his defensive game because he knows it's struggling. Now, I'm not telling you the Phillies offense is to that level of low and to that level of disappointment, but with the Phillies offense, they recognize that the spark hasn't been there, and they got to get more traffic, and they got to, if you do get a leadoff double, knowing that they don't come in bunches right now, you have to execute. You need to get that hit in. You need to get that run in. You got to sacrifice a guy over. You got to do the little things to be able to, and you wouldn't just give up an out there to move him to third, but I'm just hypothetically speaking, when you have these limited chances throughout games in general, knowing they're not flying around and happening 2 times in a 4-inning span, the pressure's on you. So you start grabbing the bat tighter. You start overthinking. You're undisciplined at the plate. Got to be smarter. So, Castillo, Matt Moore. Don't love it. Alec Boehm, not being in the lineup. I mean, it's the right thing to do, but it's upsetting that that's where we're at. It really is. It's so upsetting thinking about it. Whew. He is falling off. I saw clips of him. It was going all around Twitter. And I don't know where it was from. I was trying to find out in the comments, and I was trying to see, how long ago it was. Was this recent? Was this a practice that just happened? I don't know. I only saw it once, but it had a lot of buzz on it. And it's him missing ground balls, and you could see the frustration. He kicks the ball, body language. It's just basic infield practice, and it's him, but just straight up botching it and getting beating up himself. No swag, no attitude. And you could tell that this guy's lost. He's clocked out. He has no idea. Putting way too much pressure on him to make the plays. But, we're talking about simple plays here, so there should be pressure on you to do the little things. Just crazy. It really is. So the Phils, this is a tough one for sure, and it hurts. It hurts, but you got to grind through it. It's an ugly little how do you do for this team. But I expect them to bounce back. I expect them to get out of it. I expect them to get themselves back into a groove, but it's got to start somewhere. Now, both teams heading into this series lost the first two and then salvaged the series on Game 3. So I was looking to see who was going to bottle up those emotions and push forward and win 2 in a row. Who was going to come out? Who was going to come out on top and make a statement? And the Phils, whew. Ay. I'm hoping for the best. All right, they're back at it again tomorrow, 4 o'clock. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me tonight, listening to Sports Talk with Brodes, and I will see you next time.